Well, this is fantastic. Good evening, everyone in our sister country, Australia. My name is Dr. D. If you've never attended one of my webinars before, first, I want to welcome you because it is wonderful to see you here tonight. Second, I want to let you know that I come with a warning. I'm incredibly passionate about the products that we have to offer for better health, better longevity, and then sharing that information with other people. But I come with a warning, and here is why. Sleep is one of my favorite topics. I'm often heard to say, if you can do one thing for your health, get a good night's sleep. Because when we sleep well, everything else falls into place. Your sleep is responsible for supporting stress hormones, brain hormones, the chemistry that builds muscle and repairs bone. Literally, the gateway to longevity is through better sleep. Now, that is not to say that we should not be picking up heavy things and putting them back down again. That is not to say that we should not be paying attention to diet. What that is to say is that a poor diet takes decades to cause harm. I mean, listen, let's get real. If we were to put a donut in our face, a pastry in our face, too much takeaway in our face, right? And immediately we blew up and we had big hips, a big belly, and we didn't feel good, we'd be like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. But it takes decades for that kind of eating behavior to cause significant harm. Does anyone want to know how long it takes for poor sleep to cause harm? One night. One night. If you do not sleep well one night, and every one of us can appreciate that, some of us have a string of poor nights. Your white blood cell count goes down by 70% one night. Men that wake up after a fragmented night's sleep wake up with testosterone levels of a man 10 years their senior. Women that do not sleep well one night are more likely to have hormone disruptions with their cycle, but more importantly, with their brain. Your gut and your brain are intimately connected to each other. Well, your sleep habits and your gut are in a constant exchange of information. And for that reason, whether you're looking to support gut health, heart health, weight loss, endocrine function, better longevity, the answer, the gateway is through better sleep. And that is why, as a women's health practitioner, as a subject matter expert on sleep, obesity, and nutrigenomics, I say if there's one thing you're going to do for your health, it will be get a good night's sleep. So as I mentioned, if you've never seen me lecture before, just know that tonight I come with a warning because this is one of my favorite topics. I should properly introduce myself. As Dr. D, I am also the Vice President of Product Development and Clinical Education for our global country, our global company, live in 9 different countries, our global worldwide Market America family. I am proud to be your guest tonight, and I just want to say thank you again to Market Australia for allowing me to be a part of your day, a part of your healthy night sleep. Because tonight we're going to talk about how when you sleep well, you are able to live well. I do mention that it's important to pick up heavy things and put them back down again, and that getting a good night's sleep, as important as it is, will not replace healthy diet and healthy exercise. But it is the thing that you can put into place to make sure that when you wake up in the morning, you are motivated to exercise. Make good food choices. The magic of productivity, clarity, judgment, blood sugar balance, muscle activity all starts with waking up after a good night's sleep. So I will repeat it again. If there's one thing that you can do, or if you don't know where to get started on your health, your longevity journey, or how you would counsel someone else to find their right step forward in better health, better longevity, better weight loss, then the answer is in sleep, because it is fundamental, essential, the cornerstone of endocrine function, of muscle maintenance, of longevity. It is the root of what your body needs to repair itself so that you can build up, not break down on a daily basis. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Your body cannot live in a state of breakdown and build up at the same time. When you are sending destructive signals to your muscles, to your bone, to your brain, because you do not sleep well, because you do not eat well, because you do not exercise well, the body gets confused signals. It cannot build up when it's being given tear down, destruction, zero-sum game, right? So we need to make sure that we focus on the things that we can do, and sleep is one of the best places for you to get started. Part of this is because sleep is the cornerstone of repair in the body, both physically and mentally. Your central nervous system, your CPU in your brain, and the interaction of the nervous system throughout the body is constantly getting feedback signals to repair itself. It's constantly getting feedback signals to support healthy blood sugar, stress hormones, muscle maintenance, bone maintenance, libido. It all comes down to, what is the CPU getting in the sense of sleep? Is it getting loud enough signals that you cannot just sleep well, but that you also have enough extra repair energy from a healthy sleep cycle to keep your blood sugars within healthy ranges, to send loud, strong signals to your muscles and your bones to be able to repair themselves? So whether or not we look at sleep as one of our primary factors, or just something that always needs to be running well in the background, what I'm telling you is that when we don't get a good night's sleep, we don't have enough energy on board. We don't have enough repair or gas in the tank to manage productivity, weight, endocrine function, libido, muscle mass, and bone maintenance the next day. But probably the reason why I am so excited about a sleep lecture and why I focus on sleep as a primary factor, whether it's for women's health or age management, is because of something in the brain called the lymphatic system. Don't worry, you do not have to worry about 20% of the things that come out of this face. It's just to show off that I'm smart. The lymphatic system is actually a system of cleaning out and detoxifying the brain. And it cannot take place if, one, you do not get good sleep. Two, you do not get deep sleep. Here's the thing. Deep sleep, the window of sleep that we had when we were children, infants even, was like this. But as we age, as we put on more stressors, as we limit our metabolism, as we stay behind a desk, as we lack exercise or good food, this is what ends up happening to that sleep window, that lymphatic window, that detoxify my brain and make sure that it's healthy window. As a child, as an infant, you had it like this. It started to do this, and then it went back up with the right physical signals, hormonal signals. But as we age, it starts to do this naturally again, because we are not under what are called trophic signals or hormone signals or loud signals as we age. The loud signals that help our brain function start to quiet down, help our libido be robust, start to quiet down. Those things that signal our bones and our muscles to be big and strong start to quiet down. Guess what the magic currency is to make sure that they scream loud again, that we turn on youthful genes? Sleep and fitness. Those are the two major things that you can do to reverse aging in a way that we know it today. The easiest of which to get under control is your sleep. That is why it is so powerful from a cognitive standpoint, from a muscle standpoint, from a bone standpoint, from a hormone and libido standpoint, for you to start with sleep. This is why I say everything else falls into place, because you're going to be more motivated to exercise and eat well if you slept well. A lack of sleep leads to the usual suspects. We're tired during the day. We reach for caffeine when what we should be reaching for is vitamins and minerals. We're going to talk about how that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock slump really means that you are deplete of certain electrolytes, certain compounds that are critical for you to be able to build energy or spark energy: magnesium, calcium, B vitamins, potassium, sodium. These are all things that are critical for you to overcome that daytime drowsiness. I mentioned that when we don't get a good night's sleep, we have difficulty concentrating. That clarity of thought is just missing from us, partially because we didn't get a good night's sleep. We didn't send loud signals to our brain to recover and repair, but also because we may not be managing our blood sugars as well as we could because we didn't sleep well. It's not just white blood cells that don't function as well as they're supposed to. When you don't get a good night's sleep, blood sugar control goes off the rails when we don't sleep well. And that makes for significant issues with food choices the next day. Again, daytime drowsiness the next day, but also a cloudy brain, difficulty concentrating. We do have, due to these blood sugar, melatonin, stress hormone issues, we do end up with some concerns, especially when our sleep issues, our sleep recovery issues are chronic in nature. We have impaired memory. Everyone's going to agree on a poor night's sleep. Not only are you hangry, you're very, very moody. You'll make poor food choices, but you might make poor word choices too. You may speak poorly to yourself or poorly to other people. We see it affect us physically, reduce coordination. We see it lack of motivation to exercise or be physically able. I mentioned that white blood cells are low, so is libido. So let's give you some real facts, some statistics on what happens when you are chronic in your poor sleep. You are more apt to put on about 30 kilograms extra a year simply because you're not sleeping well. And this doesn't have to be insomnia. This is just you're not a great sleeper. 0% of the population can live on less than 5 hours of sleep. The genes in our body, our genetic code, our DNA cannot survive. There's no fail switch here. There's no save it backup generator for your genes. There's no one on the planet that can live on 5 hours or less of sleep a night. Sure, you can do it one night, you can do it 2 nights, but if this becomes chronic in nature, you are accelerating the aging process. You are speeding towards an early grave. Individuals that do not sleep 6 hours or greater a night will notice that their libido is not what it should be, that their muscle mass, their bone mass will decline. Not only will they increase inflammation in the body by measurement of something called C-reactive protein, their blood sugars are more likely to be a third higher, 33% higher in the morning than individuals that can get a good night's sleep. And then throughout the day, these individuals are unable to keep their blood sugars stable. So whether you're concerned about muscle mass, fitness, weight, or chronic disease, sleep is the gateway for you to protect your body for better longevity. So as we think about the benefits of sleep, maybe we shouldn't just talk about the bad side. Maybe it's worth talking about the good side, like maintaining healthy muscle mass, bone mass, immune function, libido, brain productivity, including brain volume. You're simply happier to be around, a nicer person to be around when you are well slept. You are also a more resilient individual in that you can bob and weave with what the world throws at you. Have you ever thrown a temper tantrum and you're thinking to yourself, what in the world is going on? Well, I'm going to tell you that you probably could walk it back to a poor night's sleep or a poor diet. So if you've ever thought to call a friend and say, who's that mad person you let in your house earlier today? Don't let crazy people in your house. That's dangerous. But you were the crazy person. I'm guessing that you could walk that back to a poor night's sleep, chronic loss of sleep, poor diet because of poor sleep, or lack of exercise. Individuals that sleep well are just simply more on point academically. We are more productive. We have a clarity of concept in the work that we do. What I want you to know is that this is not a 24-hour thing. Individuals that sleep well, that have the ability to hose down their brain, that go through that healthy detox cycle in their brain, also live longer than individuals that do not sleep well. They maintain not just their physical independence, but their mental independence into later decades of life. If there's one thing that you can do for your health, it would be get a good night's sleep. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that this doesn't happen 100% of the time. And I don't want you to think or catastrophize and think that everything goes to heck if you don't get one night of good sleep. It's about paying attention to patterns and what you can do during the day so that you can achieve better sleep. Many people think the way they spend their evening is what is important. It's actually how you spend your day that matters. Was it a stressful day? Did you make good food choices? Did you exercise? Did you speak good words to yourself? Did you start a turn down routine at night so that you could start to sleep well? How early do you start your sleep hygiene regimen? Do you go to bed at the same time each night? And do you wake up at the same time each morning? These are some of the things that are critical for you to get a good night's sleep and reap some of these benefits, whether it's immune health, concentration, memory, productivity, better mood, or better libido. These are just some of the things that when we have a sleep hygiene routine, we're better off with. So don't think it's just about how quickly can I fall asleep. The most powerful thing you can do is pay attention to how you spend your day, because how you spend your day will dictate how well you have your night. Now, these are the things that we talk about when we think about how we spend our day. How much time do you spend in front of blue light devices like your phone, your TV, your computer? What steps are you taking to minimize stress, delegate work, identify better communication? Are you overeating? Is your overeating due to a poor night's sleep? Can you address daily activity through physical exercise so that you can go to sleep at night? What does your sleep environment look like? That sleep routine I'm talking about starts with decreasing overhead light, making sure that you use natural light as much as possible, that you don't just eliminate blue light from your devices, but that you eliminate overhead light in your home. So it's around that 7 p.m. time. I want you to think about taking the lights down and just using lamp light. In the morning, I want you to think more about daylight and using natural sunlight through your windows so that you can send your body daylight signals. Day-night signals are critical for a good night's sleep, blood sugar management, stress hormone management, reproductive or sex hormone management. We want to make sure that we send the right signals so that we can get a good night's sleep. Some people are caffeine sensitive. So in being caffeine sensitive, we want to make sure that we send good signals around that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock hour. So don't reach for the caffeine, reach for magnesium, calcium, B vitamins, potassium, sodium. These electrolytes and compounds help us make sleep hormones. That's what you reach for at the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock hour. We do know that there are some external forces that play a role in how well we are going to sleep. It's not just about that sleep routine. Stress is one of the number one reasons why people can't get a good night's sleep. So you may be saying, I've put everything that you're talking about, Dr. D, into place. Good sleep hygiene rules, turning down the lights. I look at my blue light exposure, my overhead light exposure. I open up the window and wake up to first morning light. But all that's helping me do is manage my blood sugars, keep um, my mood in better check than it would be otherwise. But that doesn't do anything about the bottom line in my checking account. That doesn't do anything about Bob from accounting who keeps bugging me at work. That doesn't do anything about the stress of managing my day, whether that's kids, whether that's a partner, whether that's finances. So we do have to pay attention to that greater than a third of individuals do suffer a poor night's sleep due to stress, due to concerns around security of their family or their own financial longevity. This is one of the reasons why the prescription, as it were, for better sleep comes down to making sure that we have the right nutrients on board that also help us make not just sleep hormones, but anti-stress hormones. It's absolutely critical that we understand that the way we spend our day matters, how much time we spend on these stressful activities, but more important, how well equipped are we to build anti-stress compounds, neurotransmitters in the body that help us stay alert, but not be overly anxious? That's the magic of that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock time, reaching for electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals, because that's where we start to create the anti-stress and better sleep hormones around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't want to do anything that makes me fall asleep before my workday ends, before I get to all of the things that I do, the extracurricular activities for my family or my kids, right? Having these nutrients on board doesn't create sleep hormones just like that, but we do need to fill our buckets up with these nutrients so that we're able to create them, the anti-stress hormones, the better sleep hormones, the better sex hormones on demand, because your stress is eating them up. So don't worry, things like magnesium don't put you to sleep right away, but what they do is give you enough of a reserve of magnesium in addition to a healthy diet so that you can bob and weave with the things that stress us out. When we feel intense stress, that's what we're doing. We're eating up our reserve for the hormones that would otherwise be created to help us sleep. We find ourselves in a hyperadrenaline, hypercortisol state. And what that means, if you don't know, is that hormones are unique. They're yin and yang to each other. We call them uh, counter hormones. For every gimme, there's a gotcha. So adrenaline is really important for you to get your stuff done. Adrenaline is really important should you find yourself in need of having to make or take action quickly. But it's not meant to be elevated all the time with stress. There's a counter hormone for it, or a counter neurotransmitter. And so when adrenaline is high, it pushes down our sleep hormones. It pushes down our sex hormones. It pushes down our healthy weight hormones. It pushes down our anti-stress hormones because the body is saying, nope, need to be alert, need to be alert, need to be alert, need to be anxious, need to be ready to bounce, need to be ready to jump. Your heart rate quickens, your blood sugar goes up. Well, when there isn't a real stressor, but only a perceived stressor because your day is difficult, because something didn't go right and you didn't sleep well, so you don't manage things not going right well, that's when we start to see real issues with chronic sleep concerns. All the more reason to make sure that we, one, identify our triggers. Two, pay attention to a strict, disciplined routine so that we can build a healthy habit and on the regular, send the right and loud signals to our stress hormones that we want them to quiet down. It's one of the bigger reasons to not have too much caffeine, because when we get too much caffeine, we're feeding the adrenaline monster, we're feeding the norepinephrine and alertness monster, which does have some benefits, don't get me wrong. I don't want to demonize those things, but when we feed the body too much stimulants like caffeine, we don't allow certain hormones and neurotransmitters that would otherwise allow us to quiet down at night, manage blood sugar better, manage stress better. We don't allow those things to take place. This is why I'm a big fan of afternoon supplementation with building blocks so that we can counter the effects of noradrenaline or adrenaline. When we look at this, we know that when adrenaline is high, norepinephrine is high, that we also see high levels of cortisol, a stress hormone. Now, your body is what initiates it, what we think we see, what we feel, how we react. This is why a deep breath in and a deep breath out is so powerful. Each morning, if you want to sleep well that night, wake up each morning with 3 deep breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Do it a minimum of 3 times so that you can start to lower your heart rate. What you're also doing with that deep breath in and that deep breath out, 3 times minimum, is sending a signal to cortisol to calm down, to not reign supreme, to not hold court. It's really important that we do breath work so that cortisol, epinephrine, these stress hormones don't get in our way and take the pole position or the center of our day so that we can spend our day better. What I'm also here to tell you is that when we feed the body good oxygen, good signals, good nutrients, good exercise stimulation, we can overcome fragmented sleep or waking up in the middle of the night because of a cortisol rush. How do you know if you're having cortisol rush in the middle of the night? It's not just waking up in the middle of the night. If you just wake up in the middle of the night, you have fragmented sleep. It could be things like thyroid, right? That definitely can be stress, thyroid, female hormones that are always in a tug of war with each other. But if you wake up and you don't wake up with a cold rush that runs through the body, like, and it's just like all the blood leaves your body and you feel like a cold rush, it may be thyroid, it may be female hormones, it may be male aging hormones. But if you wake up with a cold rush, it's likely stress. And considering that a third of us wake up or don't sleep well because of stress, there's a good chance that you need to do something about that. The blessing is, as hard as it is to deal with stressful situations, supplementation, nutrients, diet, deep breath work, and exercise can help. If nearly 60%, 3 in 5 individuals say that sleep or lack of good sleep is what is affecting their workday productivity, I want you to ask yourself, what would I change? Because it starts with us. What would we change? 2 in 5, 40% roughly of individuals say that they've called in sick sick over the last 12 months due to a lack of sleep. They're just not able to do their work, which means this is a bit of not yet an epidemic, but I would say that it is a shared trauma experience that we all have. We've all felt that idea that it's just not possible for us to do a good job today, that we're not going, that we not only do we not sleep well, we now don't feel well. Part of that's because our immune system doesn't function as well when there is poor sleep. So we also want to identify if it's not just blood sugar health, libido, stress, productivity at work, we really have to appreciate one of the biggest impacts of poor night sleep. Actually, I want to take that back. The biggest impact, just to be fair, of a poor night's sleep is lack of brain health as you age. Your biggest risk factor for not sleeping today is not having healthy brain function in your seventh, eighth, or ninth decade of life. That's how critical it is that you sleep. That cognitive function declines very quickly in those that don't. While weight does go up in those that do not sleep, while libido goes down in those that do not sleep, the most important reason why I want you to get a good night's sleep is because I want your brain to work in your seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th decade of life. But what moves people to action is usually the mental health issues associated with a poor night's sleep. Stress and worry, a third of us are dealing with it. Difficulty focusing, we just learned that 60% of us are dealing with it. Feelings of fatigue, that is about 40% of the population in Australia. Declining mental health comes from chronic insults to the brain and the body from not getting a good night's sleep and not having a sound nutritional or fitness practice. Insomnia and poor sleep lead to mental health issues. We don't create the feel good neurotransmitters in abundance when we do not get a good night's sleep. Insomnia is defined as better than 3 weeks of no sleep. Now, this is less than 5 hours of sleep per night. It is not, in fact, defined as individuals with fragmented sleep. Sleep architecture happens in about 3-hour windows. So as long as, even if you're a fragmented sleeper, as long as you're getting 3-hour blocks of it, you have healthy enough sleep architecture that we don't define it as insomnia, but we do start to question whether or not your thyroid is healthy, your gut is healthy, and whether or not you are sending the right signals for healthy mental well-being. Sleep problems then obviously lay out in the presentation of chronic conditions like elevated blood pressure, like coronary artery disease, elevated cholesterol, concerns that we have with blood sugar management or type 2 diabetes. Those three are intimately linked. We don't know in medicine which came first, the chicken or the egg. Do you have cardiovascular issues because you don't manage your blood sugars? Do you not manage your blood sugars because your heart is not functioning and your blood vascular system does not function as well as it should to deliver oxygen throughout the body? What we do know is that it's not important to know the chicken or the egg in this case, because sleep is the remedy. Sleep is the cure. Sleep is the prescription. So whether you're concerned about a family history of stroke or mental, emotional issues, sleep is the currency for you to be able to overcome many of these chronic challenges. Obesity can be remedied in a bunch of different ways, but never as profoundly as it could be in a good sleeper. We know that low physical activity leads to low muscle mass, low bone mass. Physical fitness sends really loud signals to the body. What I want you to appreciate is it sends really good signals for your body to sleep well. So one of the things that we want to focus on is make sure that you put these steps in place. Have a regular sleep pattern. That is healthy sleep hygiene, defined as go to bed at the same time each night, wake up at the same time each morning. Shoot for between 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. If you're doing this in 4-hour chunks, You are, in fact, getting better sleep than you think. It doesn't have to be a continuous 8 hours, not for testosterone, not for white blood cells, not for productivity or blood sugar balance. You're just looking for healthy sleep architecture. 2 hours of sleep fragmented several times throughout the night is a problematic sleep pattern. But if you can do a 3 to 4 hour cycle each night, even if it's disrupted into what we would refer to in medicine as 2 nights, you are sending good signals. I bring this up for one reason. Shoot for that. If 8 hours of good continuous sleep feels out of your reach, shoot for 2 nights. Make sure that you're getting 3.5, 4 hour segments at night to start improving on your sleep habits. No caffeine or nicotine after 3 p.m. Focus on magnesium, focus on potassium, focus on calcium, focus on B vitamins so that you are able to create energy at the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock hour, but that you have enough of those building blocks, which is what those are, the building blocks for healthy sleep and anti-stress hormones. Get in some physical exercise. Find out what is the right time for you for this. Some people are morning exercise people. Some people do really well at night. You've got to find out what sleep and exercise personality you have. Your bed is for sleeping and for sex. It is not for entertainment. Get rid of the newspaper, get rid of the TV, get these things out of your bedroom. Your bedroom is meant to be a healthy sleep environment. Make it dark, make it quiet, and make it for sleep and for sex. Do not make it about other daylight activities. That's not what the bedroom is for. Make sure that your bed and your bedroom are comfortable. Make sure that you don't have anxiety going on the floor, like where you're worried about if you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, you don't know where to step. A chaotic space is a chaotic brain, and a chaotic brain does not sleep well. How do you get started to make sure that all of these things fall into place? Through supplementation. We talked about norepinephrine. This is an excitatory hormone that the body needs to stay productive. But unfortunately, norepinephrine is the counter hormone to melatonin. So when melatonin needs to be high at night, we need to make sure that norepinephrine goes low. How do you do this? Do not eat within 2 hours minimum before you go to bed at night. But ideally, you will not eat before 4 hours before you go to bed at night. My rule for individuals is don't eat if the sun is not up. So if it is dark outside in the morning, do not eat. If the sun is going down at night, do not eat. That sleep window or that feeding window is really helpful for you to manage norepinephrine, this very excitatory hormone. When norepinephrine is high, also cortisol is high, which means melatonin and serotonin are low. The other issue that we often have when norepinephrine, excitatory hormones are high, because you watched the news, because you read the news, because you watched an action flick, because you watched a horror movie, because you're overstressing about your day, because you have not taken a deep breath in or a deep breath out, right? Norepinephrine is high. So what I want you to pay attention to is, how do I bring those things down? Because when norepinephrine is high, blood sugars are unmanaged. This is why I don't like people eating too close to dinner, because this is one of the things that raises, I'm sorry, too close to dinner, too close to bedtime, because this is one of the things that raises norepinephrine, forces the body to have to deal with excess glucose. Well, at night, as you're winding down, your glucose managing, your blood sugar management hormones, they've started to decline because they're getting ready for sleep management. So it's really important for us to understand that when stress and excitement are high, sleep hormones, blood sugar balancing hormones, and brain rebuilding hormones are low. Caffeine in the middle of the day bumps off healthy sleep hormones so that now we don't even have anything to block that norepinephrine. A lot of people at this point will move to sleep aids because they'll think to themselves, I just need to get a good night's sleep. What you should know is that benzodiazepines, many of these drugs that we use to support a hormone or a healthy sleep hygiene, give us dry mouth. They give us an artificial sleep window that we don't actually ever go into deep sleep with these medications. That you can habituate to them, which means that without them, you're not getting a good night's sleep. So it's really important to know that while prescription medication may serve some people's goals, it's important that part of that goal or that plan is how will I not use these in a habit forming way or in a habitual use kind of way? What will I do and what is my plan to move away from them? One of the things to do is to use, if you're using sleep aids, is to make sure that you're also using vitamins and minerals that help us create sleep hormones that do not interfere with these sleep aids. So we're going to start to build up our savings account with things like calcium, potassium, magnesium, B vitamins. So even if we're using these medications, we can walk them back down again. But probably the most important message I have about them in general isn't just that they cause dry mouth or that you can habituate to them, is that their mechanism of action is similar to the mechanism of action of magnesium, of vitamin C, of B vitamins, of potassium, or essential nutrients and vitamins and minerals that the body needs. The other factor that I want to bring up in particular with melatonin is that melatonin and vitamin D have a very strong relationship with each other. So individuals that have low vitamin D state frequently have issues with sleep because melatonin and vitamin D are kissing cousins to one another. So one of the easier things that you could do, if sleep is one of your issues, is to make sure that at the very least you're on a really good multivitamin, and then start to think about supplementation that can replace many of the steps that you're concerned you can't fill in with diet, exercise, or stress management. That's why things like vitamin C, magnesium, and calcium are so powerful. And it's why it is the cocktail for a better night sleep. To extend our sleep window, both in length and in depth, I recommend isotonic calcium plus, isotonic magnesium with two very special magnesiums. And then, of course, a multivitamin so that you're getting vitamin D, so that you're getting vitamin C, so that you're getting the necessary vitamins and minerals or electrolytes that help you with energy at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, but actually start to fill up your buckets with the nutrients that you need to make anti-stress and better sleep hormones. Isotonics magnesium, one of the more profoundly beneficial things that you'll do for overall health. Did you know that magnesium is responsible for 25% of your body's metabolism? That it is responsible for so many switches, electrical light switches in the body, whether that's for energy production, blood sugar management, a healthy gut, brain development, production of sleep, and anti-stress hormones. It's responsible for 25, not all by itself, but it is involved in 25% of human metabolism, and yet most of us are not getting enough of it. Updates on what and how much magnesium we should be getting as men and women has not been updated since 1994. Yet, as individuals, adults, we have put on in excess of 60 kilograms since 1994 on average as men and women. We are heavier than we used to be. And for that reason, we need to increase our commitment to magnesium supplementation. One reason why magnesium is where you start with healthy sleep is because magnesium is where you start for healthy muscles, healthy bones, a healthy gut, a healthy brain, a healthy stress response, healthy blood sugar balance. Because magnesium is responsible for 25% of human metabolism, it's where you get started if sleep and stress are on your list of things that are stealing your longevity from you. Magnesium is a really critical mineral that we often note for better bone health and muscle health well-being. It gets overlooked for its energy needs. Magnesium is responsible for your body to spark energy in the body, something called ATP. It's responsible for temperature regulation. This may help you with weight loss, but it definitely helps you with sleep. Many individuals, especially with different phases of life, find themselves in excess sleep temperatures at night, and that's what's stopping us from being able to go to sleep. Because when body temperatures are high, hormones that allow us to sleep get pushed down. I mentioned that magnesium is one of the first places you start for stress management, stress regulation, even delegation, right? We just make better decisions when we are magnesium replete. Our metabolism, whether it's weight or energy, are just better when magnesium is on board. And one of the reasons why is because magnesium is the critical player in sparking energy within the body. So whether we're talking about DNA repair, magnesium is involved. Whether we are talking about sparking energy for healthy mitochondria, so our heart functions, our brain functions, our blood sugar is balanced, that starts with magnesium. Whether we're thinking about sending out proper signals to our muscles, to our brain, to our bones, that all starts with magnesium. Because ATP, which requires magnesium and vitamins and minerals, like a complex of B vitamins to spark ATP's production, ATP's cycling of energy, its utilization of blood sugars, because all of this is wrapped into one beautiful package. Magnesium is where you get started for your better health, so that you can do something about how the body burns carbohydrates, uses carbohydrates, burns fats, utilizes fats, so that you can benefit from a healthier, more efficient metabolism, because at the ground level, you're burning with the help of magnesium. Muscle contractions, muscle health, bone health, all are responsible with the help of magnesium and calcium's interplay. Magnesium deficiency is often misdiagnosed because we don't see it on blood tests. Better than 70% of your magnesium is housed in your bones, right? We see a huge amount housed in cellular tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, brain tissue. Very little of it is actually in our blood, meaning it's very difficult for us to appreciate magnesium depletion. So we focus on mood, energy, weight loss, blood sugar balance, and sleep architecture to identify when someone does not have enough magnesium, which means if we turn that around, magnesium is responsible for healthy muscle, healthy bones, healthy stress and sleep, libido, and sleep architecture, correct? So we think about what are all of the benefits of using magnesium throughout the body. Promotes muscle relaxation, mitigates the body's tense response to a stressful situation, regulates neurotransmitters like melatonin, serotonin, norepinephrine, GABA. All are responsible to healthy brain function, brain activity, both excitatory and inhibitory, so that we feel calm. Magnesium is the common currency for all of that. Magnesium also regulates the sleep hormone melatonin, as I mentioned, which governs more than sleep. It governs immunity, and it governs blood sugar balance, not just our sleep-wake cycles. But because it balances our sleep-wake cycles, it's one of the more critical performers in the body, and magnesium and calcium are intimately linked to its production. In addition to that, Magnesium is linked to the production or the release of something called GABA in the body. The body and the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, so that we feel relaxed, so that we feel good. It's the reason why the benzodiazepines or the Valiums work. So when we prescribe anti stress pharmaceuticals, one of the things that we're shooting for is the production of gamma in the body, or the elevation of gamma in the body, so that we can counter many of these stress signals that our daily environment sends our way. Magnesium is one of the cleaner ways and one of the more cellular functional ways for you to do this. As I mentioned, we're not getting enough. 400 milligrams a day, like is found in the isotonic magnesium, is one of the best baselines that you can shoot for. We know that men and women have different ranges, so I'd like men to shoot for even greater amounts of magnesium, especially if they're concerned with blood sugar, cardiovascular function, and energy throughout the day, not just a good night sleep. Now, we focused on both citrate and glycinate in our products. Why? Because these are the critical performers of magnesium for muscle health, for bone health, and for brain and sleep well-being. They also happen to be two of the most bioavailable forms of magnesium. So when we think about a healthy sleep, I want you to know that dietitians, physicians alike reach for magnesium glycinate. When we think about healthy muscular tension or muscular function, we reach for things like magnesium citrate. Both of them are very gentle on the stomach. Both of them help perform in the production of anti-stress and better sleep hormones. Now, I mentioned the importance of calcium and magnesium functioning together. One of the reasons isn't just healthy muscle function, although that is what most people think of. So if you have muscular tension and that is stopping you from getting a good night's sleep, the power duo of magnesium and calcium is where it's at. But I also want you to know that the same production of sleep hormones like melatonin, stress hormones, specifically anti-stress hormones like serotonin, are also dependent on having sufficient calcium on board. So calcium has been used for muscular stress as well as mental stress. So if you identify with physical stressors as well as mental emotional stressors, both magnesium and calcium can perform for you. Calcium is also intimately linked to some of the neurotransmitters that we try to create in the brain to counter anxiety. So it's important to know that from a dopamine, serotonin, GABA, neurotransmitters that need to be in balance to create a healthy mental state or healthy mental balance, that it's not just magnesium that is helping us do that, but also calcium. You just need to be getting the right forms of calcium to make this happen. So yes, while it's true, calcium is very performative in your muscular health and your bone health, and that is what it is best known for. I want you to know that it is a critical player in getting a good night sleep and managing your stress. It helps you get a good night's sleep because it aids in the body converting a semi-essential amino acid called tryptophan into melatonin so that you can get a good night's sleep. Studies indicate that when we are adequate in our calcium levels, we see less concerns with insomnia, disrupted sleep, or concerns that we have with fragmented sleep due to hormonal issues. Remember what I said, that stress and that cold sweat may be one of the reasons why you don't get a good night's sleep, but hormones are the other reason why we don't get a good night's sleep. And this is not just limited to women. Calcium is one of those things that you want to make sure is on board in sufficient amounts so that you can support many of those hormones that would otherwise prevent adequate sleep. This could be female or male hormones. It could also be thyroid hormones. Calcium with magnesium supports that healthy, loud signaling to the brain to manage stress and to manage sleep. We know that it is important to absorb magnesium in divided doses. So taking calcium and magnesium in the morning, as well as taking it later in the afternoon or evening for a good night's sleep. Calcium and magnesium are best absorbed when you don't take the total daily recommended amount at the same time, but in divided doses or capsules, like we recommend with the isotonic line. The key ingredients are magnesium, because we understand that there's yin and yang. Why not just calcium since it has magnesium? Why do we need a magnesium supplement? Because magnesium is used in so many areas of the body, whether it's blood sugar health, hormonal health, muscular health, that the magnesium that's in Isotonics Plus is to potentiate the calcium in Isotonic Calcium Plus. That's why it's there. So it's not enough for you to replace a full magnesium supplement. And we can't put so much magnesium in the calcium supplement because we would block the absorption of calcium if we did that. So that's why these two products are taken separate, not from each other, but are their own individual, because too much of one of these compounds limits the absorption of the other. Also, we put in Calcium Plus, for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier, vitamin D. We also know that magnesium is a way to balance other hormones in the body when taking a calcium supplement. So remember, it's magnesium and calcium together, not one or the other. But if you are going to start somewhere, start with magnesium because it is so performative in the body. What I want you to know about the Calcium Plus is that it only uses good sources of calcium within the isotonic line, the malic acid and citric acid, and the potassium bicarbonate that are in isotonics allows the carbonate form of calcium to be activated into an ionized malic form. So it's important to note that we focus on bioavailability and sustainability. That's why there's calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate, the calcium dihydrate to build bone, but also to give you the right nutrient signals to make hormones that help you sleep well. Inadequate sleep does lead to increased oxidative stress. It does lead to excess free radicals because you're not managing blood sugars as well. Your stress hormones are off the rails. And so you're also going to see a lot of free radicals running around the brain. And so we need to think about how we can counter that. Antioxidants such as vitamin C, beta carotene, all of these things can be wildly and hugely beneficial. That vitamin D is, in fact, a kissing cousin to melatonin for better immune function, better gut function, better brain function, and better sleep function. This is why we recommend not just Calcium Plus, but a complete multivitamin so that you get the B vitamins that are required for you to make some of these hormones, for you to keep inflammatory factors like homocysteine lower, that you send the right signals of free radical quenching, energy production, having enough in your buckets or your savings account to support health and well-being, as well as energy and sleep production. That is why a comprehensive multivitamin, not just magnesium and not just calcium, are important. So make sure that you're taking antioxidants, whether it's an isotonic OPC3, it's an isotonic vitamin C, or you just make sure that you have a sound foundation of a multivitamin so that from the ground up, you're building healthy stress hormones. That is why we created this power-packed trio of isotonic calcium plus, isotonic magnesium, and then, of course, an isotonic multivitamin, multimineral, so that you're able to have the vitamin D, the magnesium, the vitamin C, the B, a complex of B vitamins that help you build the right sound foundation so that magnesium and calcium can be left to do their work by helping you with blood sugar balance, bone mineral balance, muscular contraction, and physical energy, and then have enough on board so that if you spend your day well, speaking kind words to yourself and speaking kind words to other people, you can create a healthy sleep environment for your very best night's sleep. Your brain is relying on you. Your longevity is relying on you to take these steps. Ultimately, whether your goal is a better set of a better amount of energy today or longevity and brain function in the future, the number one thing you can do, the single most cost-effective thing you'll do to achieve all of your health goals is to get a good night's sleep. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm going to look at some of your questions and see if I can answer them for you briefly before I let you go. I'm being asked, their teenager eats a lot of toast before sleeping because she feels hungry. He said, I'm sorry, not she, he said, the dinner is at 7 p.m. Is dinner at 7 p.m. too early? It is not too early, but what it is telling me is that your teenager's going through a growth spurt, that they still feel hungry. And what we need to do is get more protein in their diet so that they have the building blocks for muscles, for bones, but also for some of these growth spurts that are going on. And it may not be a real growth spurt like we see in toddlers or that we see in teenagers at the age of 12, 13, 14, and 15. It may be a regulation of teenager hormones, and that's one of the reasons why they are hungry. But protein here is the answer. They are underweight for their height, so he thinks that it's okay. So the way I would explain it is that toast is only giving carbohydrates, very limited amount of fiber, so mostly simple carbohydrates. And while carbohydrates and fat give energy, that is what their superpower is. There's only one macronutrient that actually builds bone, builds muscle, builds hormones, and that is protein. You only have one macronutrient in your diet, everyone, that rebuilds spare parts or builds your initial parts, and that's protein. Fat and carbohydrates only give you energy. They do not rebuild any of your spare parts. So you need to make sure that you're getting plenty of protein. My friend's 4-year-old has ongoing trouble sleeping, and the doctor has prescribed melatonin. Is that good? It's not bad, but at the age of 4 years, this is dietary. This is not hormonal. This is 100% what this child is being fed. My specialty is women's health and fertility, which means I've treated a lot of children. This is hands down something that's going on in diet with this child. And it may not be stimulants like sugar. It may not be things that we would automatically go to. It could be that this child has a food sensitivity and that they're eating something that they should not be consuming on the regular basis because it's disrupting their sleep and likely their immune system. When is the best time to take these 3 sleep well products? Would it be just before bed? No, actually, Lily, my best advice here is that you take 1 cap of each in the morning and 1 cap of each between 7 and 9 p.m. for the best response to sleep and energy throughout the day. Should I be concerned that my 6-year-old sleeps with his eyes slightly opened? Absolutely not. This is something that happens when in REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep. This is where the brain is doing some level of cataloging in the brain. The deep sleep is where we do the archiving of memories, but that rapid eye movement or is a rapid access memory kind of part of our sleep window, and our eyes do open just slightly when that happens. So no, you do not need to be worried about that at all. As I look into the chat, I want to make sure that I've answered any questions that you might have there. It's always a pleasure to be a part of your evenings, and I want to say thank you again for the invitation. I hope tonight's webinar was helpful for you. I sure enjoy talking about sleep. Thank you so much, everyone.